Adil Katalino Bacuramin Kasaruga Basengat Kajubata Arus Arus Arus. Greetings from Kalimantan. My name is Emmanuel Shinta. I'm a Dayak from Borneo Island. And before I started my presentations, I would like to tell you a story. So there is this indigenous woman from Dayak Manyan tribe from the heart of the Borneo. Her name is Ibu Mardiana, and she is a retired nurse. And not only nurse, she has been fighting for the indigenous rights, fighting for her land for more than 30 years, for over 3 decades. And once I had these conversations with Ibu Mardiana, I asked her how many organizations, how many projects, how many green movements that has come to you and work in this area with you. And she answered, there were so many. In the past 30 years, I cannot count anymore because there are so many projects, so many organizations coming, and she always assists them to do their works on the ground. And then I asked this question again to her, and then, is there any winning on your side? Is there any winning for the communities here? And she was silent and then answered softly, not at all. There is no winning yet. So that's just one example of how actually we should really think about what we are doing, whenever we work on the green projects or restoration effort, or let's say like defending the rights of indigenous community. We are coming to the village and working with the communities, trying what we say. We want to empower them and support them and become their allies. So if in 30 years there is no winning in that area for that community, even though there are so many organizations and green movements do the work on that area, so there must be something wrong in mechanism. Before I continue with that, I would like to tell you about my homeland, Borneo. Borneo is the 3rd largest rainforest in the world, and you know, like some funny facts about, not funny actually, well, some amazing facts about Borneo wildlife. I will just quickly tell you. Like in Borneo here, I just got this, you know, like from some websites talking about Borneo wildlife. So it's a home to around 222 mammals and 44 endemics, and at least 15,000 plants, in which 6,000 are endemic. It can be found in the swamps, mangroves, and lowland and mountain forests of the land in the Borneo. And then these trees, what we call in our local language growing trees, hold the greatest insect diversity on Borneo. As many as 1,000 species can be found only in one tree. So that's some facts of the Borneo wildlife for you to imagine how actually the land where I live right now is a very rich island full of natural resources, and of course the biodiversity as well. And I haven't mentioned about our tropical peatland forests that become the center of international research for so many years. So that's the place where I live. And you know, the funny thing was, whenever there is this international coverage about the Borneo wildlife and then its rainforest and so on, there is only a little mentions about the first people of the land, Dayak people. I am a Dayak, I am an indigenous, and we are the first people of the land. So the Dayak consists of more than 400 subtribes, beautiful culture, beautiful people, as you saw in the videos. And actually before 18th centuries we were nomadic, so we kind of very close with the nature. We live with the natures. So for the Dayak, forest is more than a resources or community. It's a part of our identity. That's the connections with our ancestors. And actually in the past, in the Dayak community, actually, you know, like every village has to have this sacred forest, what we call Pukung Pahewan. So it is characterized by big trees and then rivers and also sacred small house inherited from Dayak ancestors named Pasah Petahu. So in the past, every village protect like one sacred forest, and that's the place that cannot be touched by man, because if you do something without any permissions or like any rituals asking for the permission from your ancestors and also the natures, and then something bad will happen to you, right? So I would say for the Dayaks, you know, like forest is very, very important, and I believe that's also important for many indigenous communities in the world. But somehow, like I mentioned, because of these misconceptions and because of the trace of colonialisms that are being left on the indigenous community, so there is this paradigm that the indigenous community, especially in the Borneo, for the Dayak people, are the ones that starting the fire, or like are the ones that not protecting the land, but like they say, hey, we hunt, you know, like we're doing hunting, and then hey, we make this some of the animals extinct. That's what Western conservationists say about us. So I would like to show you one more pictures, so you can see where I live here. Right, so this is the Kalimantan landscape. It's very beautiful, right? This is the place where I live, but this is what's happening right now in my homeland. Okay, so this is not something that we like to see, right? It's very, very sad things to see, and this is where I live actually. And something that media never covers was these forest fires already happened for 24 years. So the Dayak already live here for hundreds years, for 1,000 years, and there is no such kind of things before. But now in the past like 50 years, more than 50% of the rainforest in Kalimantan is gone. So what's happening there? You know, the thing was, people will blame the Dayak community as the one who started the fire, while actually in opposite, we are the one who protect the forest and protect the land. So well, actually that's a sad thing, but you know, like the Dayak may be vulnerable, but we are not hopeless and helpless. So that's why I'm here speaking to you about our voices. And you know, like in our places right now, in my communities, like we mobilize young people to do something about that. Actually, for these forest fires, the cause is the land wrong management that happened in 1997. So at the time, our government in Indonesia, which is still like very Java centrist, they try to do this rice farming in Kalimantan, but use the method and land management from Java. Well, actually, the texture of the soil is different, right? So that's the beginning of the problem. So me and my team here, we try to change the narrative. We started to collect the stories. We started to capture the wisdom from the elders about the land management. We show to the world, hey, this is how it should be done actually. Because if you only do it based on research and what you think is a high-tech things, you know, like, and then another chapter of environmental disaster will happen. Because this is not funny, people are dying because of the poisonous air. And not only that, we lose our home. It's never okay to see your own home burning, right? So actually right now what we face in Indonesia, we have this food estate project conducted by government, and that's because of the pandemic, you know, like because of this COVID situation, and they say, hey, we should like build this food estate thing so the country can survive. But yeah, you know, like the thing was, the management of the land never involved the indigenous communities. So that is a big problem. So what I want to say is we are still doing something about it. We run a campaign. We collect like about 36,000 signatures with young people. We try to raise awareness about this, and of course also to provide the alternative solution from the ground. So if there is something I can say, first, the Dayaks are not the ones who caused the fires. And the second, indigenous communities should be at the center of restoration effort, or advocacy works, because they are not the object of your green project. They are the subject in their own stories. And then the third is investing in youth could be a very good solution for us to protect our future. And for the audience here, thank you so much for listening to me. And if you are an indigenous, let's build a connection and solidarity. And if you are non-indigenous, let's build a partnership based on mutual respect and understanding. Tabe salamate ka Kalimantan.
Thank you, Manuela. That's beautiful, and your work on that narrative shift is so much needed. Our next speaker, Eulalia Woodside.
Elena, can you hear me and see me okay?
Yes, we can.
Excellent.